Hello and welcome to another Friday afternoon live. We've been doing this for over 6 months now, hey, how time flies. I'm Kevin Reid, the editor of Accountancy Age. It's wonderful to have you back on board to join us here on what's a bit of a chilly but bright Hammersmith. We're here in the Swan Pub. I'm with my deputy editor Richard, who's my trusty cameraman today. And today's session, our little 5-minute broadcast, will all be about, I guess, the scrutiny of accounting and audit firms and the roles that they play, and I guess whether they're providing any value. So there have been two very, very big stories this week for us to cover. One, the kind of Bank of England FCA report into the failure of Hbos has been released, and that's 250 pages of fun, I can assure you. And obviously KPMG as an auditor and advisor, their role during that period, which Hbos collapsed, and also the MPs have been, MP committees have been discussing Kids Company and the accounting firm's various roles during that process in that failure of the charity. So why don't we start at the beginning and deal with Hbos. So I'll be honest with you, I've not had the time, and do you know what, I don't think I've even got the brain power to go through the whole report that's been issued by the FCA and the PRA into the failure of Hbos. But what I have done is gone through the financial reporting section, which gives an absolutely fascinating insight into the role of auditors. KPMG, they also acted as advisors during the period between the mid to late noughties up to its collapse in 2009. And the managers of Hbos's lending divisions, the executives and managed board committees such as the audit committee, internal audit is also covered within this section, and basically gives a timeline of the events. And what you see over the kind of 40 or 50 page section of the report is detail about the flow of the decisions that were made during that time. And you see evidence of KPMG pushing Hbos, I guess being kind of quite robust about the levels of provisioning that Hbos was making for bad debt, the kind of decision-making process at management level about how loans are either on the good book or the bad book, and the various degrees with which loans moved from good to bad, and then the decisions by Hbos's executive when questioned by KPMG about the levels of prudence that were being taken. You also see some examples where KPMG kind of being quite robust, but then I guess when public statements were being made, KPMG was saying, that Hbos was kind of within the acceptable range in terms of the where it was drawing the line as far as prudence was concerned. Though you see over the period leading into 2008, KPMG becoming more and more bolshy and robust, and making statements that the bank was being too optimistic. It's worth a read yourself if you have the time. If you don't, and I know you're all very busy bees, then Accountancy Age and Financial Director on Monday will be publishing some more detail about these timelines. But really, really interesting stuff. It also kind of draws the line between KPMG's kind of role and remit as auditor and some of the advisory work that they were providing. It's absolutely fascinating stuff, well worth a look. If you can't go through that, then that's what we're here for, I guess, and there'll be more detail about that up on Accountancy Age and FD on Monday. Moving on to more scrutiny of accounting firms and the roles of which they play. The Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee, there's a catchy title there for a MP Select Committee for you, probed the work that PwC, PCAF Littlejohn and Kingston Smith did in the various kind of guises that they had as advisors to Kids Company. Kingston Smith, for the record, were the actual auditors of Kids Company. Without going into all the gory detail, we have some stories up on Accountancy Age and Financial Director for you to go through anyway. Basically, the committee questioned the role of accountants in terms of the value that they were providing. Where they really get into the meat of matters. The firms, for their part, defended themselves very vigorously, and that's something that we're seeing in many other instances of accountants in front of MPs' committees in recent years. So have the firms done anything wrong? Any misconduct? I guess as far as kids companies are concerned, I would be surprised if they have. Obviously, I'm not a regulator. It's not for me to make these decisions. But I would be surprised if they haven't actually fulfilled the contractual remits and done so professionally. You know, that may come out in the wash further down the line. But again, I think there's an issue with firms struggling to present and show the value that they provide and that they create with the work that they undertake. And again, further questions about the value of audit. We know that the big accounting firms spend a lot of money on marketing and communications, but they still struggle to satisfy the public and ministers about the role in which they play. Ministers, perhaps I'm less sympathetic for, because you know, it's all about politics, isn't it, people? But yeah, the audit issue, the value issue, still hasn't been dealt with. And the FRC is again talking about that. That's a long way down the line, isn't it, really, from when the credit crunch and financial crisis, and the questions asked about audit firms. And you know, this has kind of been dragging on from M1, quite frankly. So yeah, more will come out in the wash. Go back to Accountancy Agent FD next week for more. Also, we have next week is the last week to enter the Business Finance Awards. So if you're an FD, CFO, you're part of the finance team, or you're advising the FDs and their finance functions, then please have a look at Business Finance Awards website and see if there's a category that suits you. I shall leave you to the weekend. I'm going to have a nice festive pint of cider here. I shall see you on the other side. See you next week. Cheers.